Should Varg have been purged? Let's find out. Nah, just kidding. Yeah, first, I got 3 questions, but I also have a 4th question that I figure I'll answer right now since it's the most timely of the 4. Yeah, I think it's awful what's going on right now on YouTube, and I think that anybody with their wits about them should move to BitChute as quickly as possible. I've been having like technical problems on BitChute, so I'm not even sure if this vid's gonna make it on there. Hopefully it will, because yeah, it's a preferable alternative right now to considering what's going on. So that answers that question in 40 seconds. Let's move to the 3 other questions. Let's see. Are chickens dinosaurs? No. That's the short answer. I know all the news articles say that they're dinosaurs, but I think that's a misleading turn of phrase. Chickens are absolutely descended from dinosaurs, and some new research and some new evidence shows that they are more closely related to dinosaurs than other birds. But that doesn't make them dinosaurs. I think that's a ludicrous notion. I mean, it's like what makes me mad about it is it flies in the face of taxonomy. I mean, by that logic, apes are monkeys. By that logic, frogs are fish. Like, just because something descends from one thing doesn't. I mean, I've said this before in other videos. The natural progression of life is to branch out. It's supposed to diverge, to become more and more different over time, which is one of my problems with the current globalist view of things, which is that everything should just sort of turn around and fold back in on itself. 40,000 years of divergence should be undone in a single generation or a few generations. And I see something similar happening with taxonomy. They're saying, oh, well, species is kind of a muddled term, don't worry about it. And genera, I mean, really, all life is just kind of the same. Kingdoms, I mean, when you really get down to the nitty-gritty, what is the difference between an elm tree and a dog? And it's just this corrosive view is not good. It's fascinating that chickens are related to dinosaurs. It's fascinating that they're descended from dinosaurs. And it's also entertaining to people because they see such a huge disparity. When you look at a chicken and you look at a T-Rex, you think those are 2 very different things. So that's interesting. But for the most part, it's just hyped up journalist science in the sense whenever they say, turns out chickens are T-Rexes. Like, no, that's literally not how classification works. And if it was, then we should just do away with classification, because what does it help us with? I mean, the whole point of taxonomy and classification and just language in general is creating categories to better understand the world, to separate things. When you say, well, it's all just, kind of, everything's everything, like, well, then why even have words to describe things at that point? They become useless if you just conclude that everything is just everything. And so, yeah, chickens are not dinosaurs, because if they were, we wouldn't have the word chicken anymore. It would just be dinosaurs. Chickens are birds. Chickens are fowl. Chickens are largely terrestrial, even though they are capable of flying. It's actually really funny to watch when they actually fly. I've kept chickens. Love chickens, actually. They're like, I'm not really very interested in birds. Like, ornithology is not really a subject that I'm very interested in. It's actually probably my least favorite specialist branch of biology. And yet, I love chickens. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, they're not dinosaurs. They are descended from dinosaurs. Let's see. Why does my hair stand up from a balloon? Okay. I'm assuming what you mean is when you rub a balloon on your hair, it stands up. And this is because normally your hair is relatively neutral. The molecules that comprise your hair, they're comprised of protons, neutrons, and electrons. You probably already know that. And for the most part, they're balanced. But when you cause friction between 2 objects, you can cause an imbalance in those charges. So what ends up happening when you rub that balloon on top of your head is you are causing electrons that are in the molecules that comprise your hair to fuse with molecules in the balloon, the latex surface, not like the air. I don't think. That'd be interesting to actually look into. I don't know. Maybe it does. Okay. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Those molecules, through friction, they get sucked into the molecules of the balloon. So they have extra electrons, and your hair has less than it does. And that means that your hair, because electrons are negative, has a positive charge now, and the balloon surface has a negative charge. So this does two things, actually. One, since all your hairs now have a positive charge, they're repelling each other. Very similar to the way the positive ends of a magnet would repel each other. Similar, not identical. That's very important. Don't be pedantic, comments. And conversely, because the balloon has a negative charge, it attracts your hair. So that's why when you put the balloon close to your hair, it starts rising. And it's also why even when you pull the balloon away, your hair kind of frizzes out away from one another. It's because they're repelling each other. So yeah, that's what causes that. The same thing happens with other friction-causing objects like toboggans or knitted hats, whatever you want to call it. And really, that same static response, that attraction and repulsion, leads to static shock and the biggest form of static shock, which is lightning. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like just by saying that I should explain more, but I don't want to because of the short bit. I answered the question though. It's because of an exchange of electrons causing a difference in charge. Anyway, let's see. Why is there no antibiotic for a cold? Okay, that's got a couple of parts to it. This might take longer than 10 minutes. Okay, one, antibiotics affect bacteria, and cold isn't caused by bacteria. Antibiotics usually they either poison the bacteria with something that doesn't normally damage cells too bad, or more likely they dissolve the cell wall. Bacteria a lot of times will have a cell wall that's made out of a different material than the membranes of our cells. Our cells don't have cell walls, first of all. They have a phospholipid bilayer, and that's it. Whereas a lot of bacteria, especially the ones that we have negative associations with, which we call pathogens for that reason, they have cell walls, and antibiotics a lot of times will break those down, and in doing so kill the bacteria. Well, you can't kill a virus because it's not technically considered alive. Bacteria is really just a protein coat. I think I talked about this in the prion episode. It's just a protein coat with DNA inside of it, and it's not considered alive. So you can't kill it with that because it can't be killed. It can't be broken down by antibiotics. Additionally, this is the second part of the question. Like you're asking, why can't we kill a cold? Period. Well, in addition to it being a virus, cold is kind of a general term. That's one thing that annoys me when I hear people complain that there's no cure for the common cold. Yeah, because it's not really a single thing. That's why. It's like saying, there's no cure for injury. Of course not. I mean, because they're different. A house fire is different from spraining an ankle, is different from falling off a cliff, is different from getting shot in the leg. Injury, we know that's a broad thing, but when we think of common cold, we think of it as like one thing. Really, cold is caused by a myriad of different viruses, and even the symptoms vary a little bit depending on what you've got. So that's why. It's a virus, it's diverse, there's a whole bunch of different ones, and that's why antibiotics don't work on them, because one, it's a virus, and antibiotics don't work on a virus, and two, because there's a whole bunch of them. Like there's no, you can't get a vaccine for them for the same reason. Maybe someday they could come up with one, but I highly, highly, highly doubt it. I mean, just look at the flu. That's caused by influenza. At least that's one, I don't know if that's not I'm assuming a family? Do viruses? I gotta look that up. Hang on just a sec. Okay, against all odds, I actually turned out to be right. It's orthomyxoviridae, which is a family, although that's actually a little too broad a term for it, because it's more complicated than that. But I actually found out that I was right by virtue of guessing. I just figured it was a family. I don't know, actually. I don't have a good explanation for it, but I guessed right. But yeah, that's why. So yeah, I'll sum this up in less than 10 minutes. There, I got 3 questions answered and a 4th one about my opinion on Varg's purge, as well as all the other channels. Yeah, I'm very, very upset about it, but the best thing to do is just bleed the beast by going to alternatives. So BitChute, Gab, Minds, etc. Use alt tech. Stray away from modern tech that's trying to censor everybody. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, keep asking questions. Bye.